God of War Laufey was just announced, and for the first time in the franchise history, Kratos is not the protagonist. Instead, we are playing as his wife, Faye, and we are picking up her story right after her death in God of War 2018. Today we are breaking down everything that you missed in the new trailer, including Faye's gameplay, the mysterious afterlife where all mythologies collide, and a theory that could finally answer one of the biggest mysteries from the previous games. Fair warning though, to explain these theories, there's gonna be spoilers for the entire God of War timeline, from the original Greek trilogy all the way through Ragnarok, so be careful! The trailer opens with Faye awakening in a mysterious realm known as the Everywhen. The name itself is a huge clue. Just like everywhere means all places at once, Everywhen implies conversions of all time. So maybe this isn't just a physical location we're looking at. It's a space where the past, present, and future collide. The footage clearly shows us gods from different mythologies, including Egyptian and Mongolian. There seem to be two rulers here, as shown by the giant statues of them and the army of soldiers that they command. We got Sekhmet, the Egyptian goddess of war, who seems to be the manipulative mastermind, alongside Say, the Mongolian god of war, acting as a pure muscle. But why is Faye here? Lore-wise, when a giant dies, their souls are supposed to return to the Lake of Souls in the light of Alfheim. Kratos even hears Faye's voice there. The Everywhen, on the other hand, is the afterlife specifically for gods. This is actually the massive mystery that Odin was so obsessed with. He controlled all of the mortal afterlives, but he had absolutely no idea what happened to gods when they died, which is what drove his crazy obsession with the Rift and the Mask. So what is a mortal Jotun doing in a divine afterlife? Interestingly, Say refers to Faye as a godling. God of War always twists the mythology, but in the actual poetic Eddas, Laufey is listed as a goddess. Does Faye have Eden divine blood, or is she just getting this title because she gave birth to Loki? Whatever her true nature is, the trailer makes one thing very clear. She's being held captive by these new gods. So how does she fight back? Let's talk about one of the most exciting parts, the gameplay, because Santa Monica Studio is pulling heavily from the classic Greek era. We can tell that the combat here is more aligned with the older trilogy by looking at Faye's agility, air combos, and even the return of the double jump. If you remember a specific conversation with Mimir in Ragnarok, Kratos tells him that he lost his powers when the Greek realm was destroyed, forcing him to rely on grounded, heavy combat. But it seems Faye is bringing back that fast-paced, airborne, classic God of War gameplay. And she's not fighting alone. Instead of Atreus and Mimir, Faye has two new companions. First, a talking sword named Rue. In the trailer, a kid Faye rescues tells her the sword is more than you think, which means Rue is definitely going to be an important part of the plot. Second, a talking jello cube named Frank. As Faye helps them escape, they stick by her side. We already know that when Kratos and Faye first met, they engaged in a brutal fight and they nearly killed each other. Knowing Faye is just as capable of a fighter as Kratos, I have to wonder, will we see Faye get her own version of the Spartan Rage? That would be really cool. Next, let's talk about what Faye is actually trying to accomplish here. At the beginning of the trailer, Faye sees a mask on a corpse, and it looks suspiciously like the one Odin was obsessed with. But there's a huge detail here. When Faye first wakes up, she already has a fragment of a mask in her hand, which we later see Sekhmet completely crush right out. So what was that piece? Is it from a similar mask? Or could it be part of Odin's? What if Faye was actually the one who split Odin's mask in the first place? But the biggest clue is her reaction to finding it. She says,
"If there's another mask, your path isn't safe. I have to find a way back."
It's in this moment that she discovers that Kratos and Atreus' journey is compromised. She says she has to find a way out of there to help them, which heavily implies this is gonna be a parallel storyline to God of War 4 and maybe even Ragnarok. To do that, she has to navigate the Everywhen. It looks like this place isn't just an afterlife. It's the absolute birthplace of magic and the ending point where it all returns to. But right now, the natural flow of that magic is completely broken and the gateway is closed. Fixing this flow is likely going to be a major plot point directly tied to her ultimate goal, saving her family. This immediately makes me think of that specific scene in Ragnarok. In one of Kratos' dreams, Faye tells him,
"Time is running out, my love, and there is much to do."
Kratos even tells Mimir that these nightmares feel different, like she's desperately trying to send him a message. Well, what if she was? What if Faye was reaching out from the Everywhen, trying to communicate with Kratos in real time? And if she can influence the mortal realm from the afterlife, this can finally answer one of the biggest mysteries in the entire franchise. Who blew the horn to summon the world serpent? When Atreus falls deathly ill, someone blows the horn while Kratos is rushing him to Freya. Faye claims that Kratos and Atreus are walking an unsafe path. Perhaps blowing the horn is one of the several ways that she will steer them in the right direction from beyond the grave. We already know her foresight has been guiding them from the very beginning, from the golden paint marking Kratos' path to the prophetic murals waiting at the summit of Jotunheim. She always knew what was coming. The only missing piece of the puzzle is how she is able to interact with the mortal world while locked inside of the Everywhen. We might not know exactly how she interacts with an object like the horn, but the trailer gives us visual proof that physical crossover is possible. This brings us to the Kratos cameo. We see him physically grab Faye's hand and pull her off the ground. This isn't a dream or an hallucination. He is physically interacting with her. But how is this possible? Given how incredibly brief that moment is in the trailer, we could be looking at the exact second that Thor kills Kratos. Kratos' soul drops into the Everywhen just long enough to pull Faye up before Thor shocks him back to life. But I think there is a much bigger crossover coming. Think about the light of Alfheim. Kratos was gone for what felt like days to Atreus, and he actually heard Faye's voice while inside. Could the light of Alfheim have a direct connection to the Everywhen? And is all that missing time hiding a chapter in this new game where we see exactly how their stories intersect? But Kratos might not be the only familiar face we see in this realm. Because speaking of breaking cosmic rules and the broken magic of the Everywhen, there is a massive connection here we need to talk about: Athena. Back in God of War 3, Athena returns claiming she ascended to a higher existence after her sacrifice to save Zeus. And if we take a closer look at the colors, we notice her spirit form has a very similar color to both the rift and the mask. Is this game finally going to give us more insight into what actually happened to Athena and what that higher existence really is? Could it be the Everywhen? And that brings up another completely separate but important question. Since the Everywhen is a shared afterlife for gods across all of the mythologies, who else could be waiting for us there? Could we run into the gods that Kratos slaughtered in Greece? Ares, Hades, even Zeus? What about the Norse gods? Maybe Balder, Magni, Modi? Maybe Faye could even fight Athena? Can you imagine that? God of War Laufey looks like it's going to completely recontextualize everything we did in God of War 4 and Ragnarok as Kratos. We are finally going to see exactly what Faye was doing behind the scenes to keep her family alive. What do you guys think? Will we get to fight the dead Greek gods? Was it definitely Faye who blew the horn? Let me know your craziest theories down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more God of War content. And I will see you guys in the next one.